Okay, so this is the Math Bootcamp video over your test review. Make sure that you get out your review. You do not need to take notes over this video, just work them out on the pages where we're doing the review in your notebook. You can watch this video more than once or only just watch certain sections of the video. Just do whatever you need to do to prepare for that test that's coming up on Monday. So the first section we're going to go over is scientific notation. So we're going to work out problem number 3. So the number given in number 3 is not in scientific notation. Recall that scientific notation has to be a number that's between 1 and 9 times 10 to an exponent that tells you how many places you need to move the decimal. So we're going to put the decimal right here between the 3 and the 8 because that's the only place we can put it where we'll create a number that's between 1 and 9. So now the question is, if we put the decimal there, how many spaces do we need to move it back to get it to the original number? So we have to move it 3 spaces over, but those are in the left direction, so that means it becomes a negative 3. Now if you were going to type this number into the calculator, remember you type in the coefficient, so 3.89. And instead of typing in times 10, you're just going to replace that with the E. So recall that to get the E, you push second and then the button above the 7, which is x to the negative 1. That will get you the E, and all you have to do after that is type in the exponent. So the exponent is a negative 3. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to go over is significant figures. So I'm going to work out problems number 12 and 14. These problems you need to round to a certain number of sig figs, but first I'm going to talk about how many sig figs they have, and then we will round them. So number 12, if you want to count all the non-zero numbers are significant. Now these trailing numbers here do not count because there is not a decimal in the number. There's no decimal, so they don't count. So right now we have 3 sig figs. On your test review it says it wants you to round it to only 2. So we can only start from the left and work your way over to the right. We can only have a sig fig here and here. The rest of them in the number need to be non-significant. So if you look at the number behind this, it's a 4. So we're not going to round that up. It's just going to stay a 2. So we're going to keep the 1 and the 2. Now everything after that has to be non-significant, so they become zeros. So this is now a number that's rounded to only 2 sig figs. Okay, so the next problem, number 14, is 4.5063. We currently have 1, 2, 3, and 4 sig figs because these are definitely non-zeros. Now the question is, does this zero count? And it definitely does because it is sandwiched in between these 2 sig figs. That's called a captive zero. So we currently have 5 sig figs. Now on the worksheet it says that it wants you to convert this to only 3. So starting from the left, we can only have a sig fig here, here, and here. These are the only places we can have significant figures. So looking at that last number, the number behind it is a 6. So we're going to round that 0 up to a 1. So it's going to be 5.51. Now I cannot put any zeros after this because I need to stop at just 3. If I was to put zeros behind those would be significant because trailing zeros count as significant if there is a decimal in a number. So we're just going to leave it as 4.51, and there are your 3 sig figs. Okay, so now I'm going to work out a one-step dimensional analysis problem. We're going to do number 15. Number 15 says 15 grams into nanograms. I only see one prefix, so that's how I know it is a one-step problem. So if you're going to set up your chart, we're given 15 grams. And we want to convert that to nanograms. So nanograms is the unit that is going to go on the top, and then the grams unit will come down here on the bottom. So now you need to look at your conversion chart to figure out the numbers. we're dealing with the nano prefix in this step, so we're going to look at the nano row. Okay, so we are looking at our metric conversion chart now. We are going to refer to the nano row, which is with the little n. So if you pay attention to this chart, it says right here, base unit is on the left side. So there's a 1 that is going to go with our base unit. It doesn't matter if it's on the top or the bottom. A 1 is going to go with your base unit. And over here on the right side is our prefix unit. So the one that has nano in front of it, it says it's 10 to the 9th. That is just 1 times 10 to the 9th. So let's go fill in those numbers. Okay, so recall from our conversion chart, it said that a 1 is going to go with our base unit, and so that's going to be on the bottom because that is where our base unit is for this problem. And then a 1 times 10 to the 9th is going to go with your prefix unit with nano. So now all you need to do is type this into your calculator. So you're going to type in 15 times 1e9. There's no reason to divide in this problem because we only have a 1 on the bottom. And recall, you always multiply across the top. So now you're going to get your answer of 1.5 times 10 to the 10, and that is nanograms. Alright, so the next thing we're going to work out is a two-step problem. Recall that a two-step problem has 2 prefixes in it. Now it's 2 steps because the very first step you're going to convert to your base unit. Recall that our base units are either meters, grams, or liters. And then the next step, you're going to convert to whatever the new prefix is. So let's work out an example from your review. Okay, so we're going to do number 20, which is 300 kiloliters into teraliters. So start out your chart. We have 300 kiloliters, which is a capital K and a capital L. And recall our first step, we need to convert to our base unit. The base unit is the ending of your prefix unit. So liters is the base in this problem. So liters is going to go on the top because that's where we want to go first. Kiloliters will come down here on the bottom. And then our second step is now we're going to convert to our second prefix, our new prefix, which is teraliters. And then liters will come down here on the bottom. So now you need to look at your conversion chart to figure out what numbers fill in these steps. The first step is kilo, so we're going to look at the kilo row for that one. And then the second step is the tera, so we're going to look at the tera row for that one. Okay, so our conversion chart, the first step we're dealing with a kilo. And so if you look right here, a 1 is going to go with our kilo unit, and then a 1,000 or 1 times 10 to the 3 is going to go with our base unit, which recall our base unit is a liter. And then on the second step, we're going to look at the tera row. That's our new prefix. A 1 is going to go with your tera unit, and then a 1 times 10 to the 12 is going to go with the base unit on that step, which again is liters. So let's go fill in those numbers in your grid. Okay, so in your chart, your conversion chart, it said that a 1 times 10 to the 3 is going to go with your base unit on the kilo step, and then a 1 goes with a kilo. For the tera liter step, it said that a 1 goes with your tera liter, and then your base unit is going to get the 1 times 10 to the 12th. So in this problem, you have 2 numbers that need to be multiplied on the top. Whatever those numbers give you, you're going to do top divided by bottom. So in your calculator, you can do this all as one step if you wish. You can just do 300 times 1e3 divided by 1e12. So in your calculator, you're going to get 3 times 10 to the negative 7, and our unit, if you look, kiloliters cancels out, liters cancels out, and you're left with teraliters. So if you need any more help beyond that, come see me first thing Monday morning to get tutorials before you take your test.